Hey Celebration students, we're continuing Seize the Summer today, and I'm so excited to have a conversation with you about being intentional with our health. I think this past couple of months is a time when a lot of us could tend to be unhealthy. I don't know about you, but I feel like I snack a lot more than I used to. I feel like in quarantine, I watched way more Netflix than I read books. Even though I wanted to read more books, I watched a lot of Netflix. I was on social media more than I ever have been. I feel like I had to be really intentional about going outside, getting fresh air, exercising. I think we're just in such a unique time with being quarantined, and now that we're kind of phasing out of that we've maybe been in a season of unhealth. And I just wanted to talk to you today about how to be intentional with your health, because I think it's so important to living a fulfilled life. But before I talk to you about that, I just want to ease any tension about our lives only being about our physical bodies, or only being about how cool we are, or our status, or whatever it is, and just let you know that underlying all of that, at the foundation of who we are, that God doesn't look at that first. He first looks at your heart. And there's an amazing story in 1 Samuel where Samuel's a prophet and God tells him to go and to anoint a king. And he goes to Jesse's house, and Jesse has all these sons, and they keep bringing they bring the oldest son who's tall and good looking and probably worked out. And God says, no, that's not the king that I chose. And they keep going through all the sons. And God says something to Samuel that's so profound. He says this. It said, "The Lord said to Samuel, 'Don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way that you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at your heart.'" So I just want to tell you today, before we talk about physical, mental, emotional health, that first and foremost, God looks at your heart. That when you get to heaven, you stand before God one day, that He's looking at who you are, your love for Him, your desire for Him, everything that's in your heart, not your physical body. But God doesn't leave it there. I believe that God uses our physical body. He uses our emotions. He uses our mental health for us to be able to walk into our purpose. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. That really your health is your responsibility, because your purpose is the responsibility that God has given you to walk out. You know, I was thinking about David, and I was thinking about how God looked at him and saw his heart and was so pleased with David's heart and said, that's the type of guy that I want to lead my nation. And looked at David's life and just saw just goodness inside of him. And I believe that God looks at all of you right now and sees that. But I started thinking about some scenarios that David had to walk through. Like David had to fight Goliath. And you know, when David fought Goliath, I'm sure he had worked out before that moment in order to be able to kill a giant. And David had to run from his life, from a king that was trying to kill him. And as he's hiding from running for his life, I just believe that there's so much. If you read the Psalms, you see how David's kind of working out his emotions. And you even see David walk through a period where he fell into sin. And you see his just mental and emotional health so strong as he was confronted with that. And he was able to really overcome that and pursue God through all of that. And I believe that you can have a heart for God, but miss your purpose if you don't take care of your physical body, of your mental health, and of your emotions. Because God has an amazing call for each and every one of you watching today. He has dreams that He's placed inside of you. He has careers that He's put inside of you. He has purposes that He has placed uniquely on your life. And your physical body and your mental health and your emotions matter when we talk about your purpose. And so I just want to encourage you today that we want you to take care of those things, not because we just want you to look good, or not just because we want you to be cool, but because we believe that God has an amazing plan for your life. And so it's important that we steward our bodies. But you know, I think something that we can struggle with in this area is that when we feel like we're weak in one of those areas, or if we feel like we're struggling, like say maybe today, maybe you've been in quarantine and you just really feel like your mental health is struggling, or you feel like, man, I just really want to have good physical health, but I always struggle with it. I'm always back and forth with it. I just want to encourage you today that just because you're struggling with it doesn't mean you're unhealthy. That we live in a world where it says in the Bible that we have to die to our flesh. And what that means is that every day as we work towards the purpose of God in our life, that we're gonna have to say no to some things, that we're gonna have to die to our flesh and sometimes wake up early and go to the gym and work out. And that's hard. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, that's hard. Sometimes it's hard if you're walking through anxiety or depression or things like that. You can tend to feel like I'm unhealthy because I'm struggling in one of these areas. And I was talking to my brother today. My brother has kind of walked through that season over this past year. He was really struggling with his emotional and mental health. And he said that he really struggled with it until the day he told somebody about it. And I just want to encourage you today that health, really true health, whether it's in our physical, mental, or in our emotions, it comes when we are in relationship with each other. When we're able to say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Hey, I'm experiencing this depression. I'm experiencing anxiety, or I'm experiencing fear of getting my physical body right. Whatever it is for you, that just because you're struggling with it doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. And I've seen my brother walk in so much freedom especially the past couple of months, as he's met with counselors, as he's gone to doctors, as he's gone to physical therapists, as he's really worked to get his body healthy. But he had people around him to lift him up, to make those doctor's appointments for him, to help him walk along that journey, to call a counselor and schedule that appointment for him. I'm telling you today, if you feel like you're struggling in one of those areas, you need to reach out and ask people to walk along that journey with you, because God has a purpose so big for you that you don't want your physical, mental, or emotional health to be in the way of that. You want to be able to walk in that purpose, and people can walk alongside you to help you in that. So today, as you're in your small groups, I just want you to feel free to open up, talk about that. How do you struggle in those areas? What are some ways that you struggle? And then why don't you lift each other up? As we seize the summer, we need each other so that we can seize our purpose.